Manchester United doesn't have a whole lot of options.
On DAB, online, on the app and on your smart speaker, this is Times Radio.
He was the highly influential top-flight manager who single-handedly dragged Leeds United up by the bootstraps to become a major force in English football.
Listen again to TalkSport's exclusive documentary, Revy's Angels.
There's never a playground on that pitch with a weight shed on the Snever track.
The incredible story of legendary Leeds United manager Don Revy.
Don was right up there with the best managers the country's ever produced.
Charting all the highs and lows of his illustrious career.
They were all as one, they were all united.
Plus, hear how his legacy has shaped the modern game.
He transformed the way that managers behave.
Revy's Angels.
The story of Don Revy.
Listen again now at TalkSport.com.
TalkSport Drive, weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. Unrivaled, opinionated comment from the biggest names in sport.
Join me, Andy Goldstein, and TalkSport Team Drive.
Sports radio that's guaranteed to go the distance.
Insane acceleration, outstanding pace, next generation slipstream sport.
The nation's #1 sports-dedicated drive time radio show.
TalkSport Drive Nitro Edition.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home. TalkSport Drive.
Welcome back to the Etihad, where we're building up to the 7:30 kickoff local time between Manchester City and Brentford. Manchester City looking to close the gap to the top. The only Premier League game this evening, but what a Premier League weekend it was.
Now then, here's a flick by Jota, and Nunez is clean through and he chips the keeper magnificently, and Liverpool take the lead. It's Mo Salah, still, and in. He's back in the side, and it hasn't taken him very long to get back on the score sheet. Gakpo to finish it for Liverpool, which he does. Brentford 1, Liverpool 4.
Neto in field, cuts it back, and Wolves have retaken the lead, and it's João Gomez again.
Mahrez just outside the Bournemouth penalty area, floats the ball in, deep one,
Free header, oh, it's into the back of the net by Ritchie, who gets the equaliser with his first touch of the game. Hudson-Odoi! Callum Hudson-Odoi finishes it for Nottingham Forest.
Martinelli pokes one in towards the edge of the area. It falls kindly to Odegaard, and he drills it into the right-hand corner. Odegaard has it on the edge of the area, spreads a well-weighted ball to Saka inside the area, shifts it onto the right foot and fires it into the right-hand corner.
Here's another corner from Shaw, cleared as far as Garnacho to hit it, and then it deflects it off the chest of Rasmus Højlund and has gone in for another one. Incredible.
Jackson finds Palmer, and Jackson could be in, and Sterling is screaming for it, and Jackson has found him, and it's Raheem Sterling, beats Walker, Sterling! Bernardo Silva in the penalty area here, up against Gusto, cross comes in towards Haaland over his head, will it break for Kyle Walker? It will, ricochets to Rodri, got in! City have done it, they always do it, it's come off Chalobah, and it's gone in, it's ugly, they don't care, it's 1-1.
There we go, so the closing thoughts there of Tom Rennie, who was commentating on Manchester City against Chelsea the weekend. But Hogan, I'm a nice guy, you got the list of results in front of you, which one do you want to talk about first?
I think we've got to start with Arsenal, to be honest.
5-0 winners at Burnley.
Yeah, I just think what they've done over the past 2 games away from home in the leagues, nothing short of sensational. 6-0, 5-0. I don't think they've had more than 2 shots on target against them. They've been incredible. So clinical, and they just hitting a groove at the right time. I know they was getting wins earlier in the season, of course, the points tally would tell you that, but they wasn't being as free-flowing as they are now, and they look to have really hit their stride.
I've never known in my time following football for Arsenal to be as a vibrant a place as it is. The Emirates is a real kind of zinger of an atmosphere right now because of the way Arteta has kind of galvanised the whole club.
Yeah.
How close are they going to get this year? And who do they have to finish above to win it?
I think they'll be very close. I don't think they will win it. I think I'm going to go with Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal, but Liverpool and Arsenal could be extremely close. I just think Man City have built up some trust in me over the last 4, 5, 6 years, where even when they got the equaliser in the 84th minute against Chelsea, something just expected me to go and win it, and I know they didn't on that day, but it doesn't dent my belief in them, so I think they'll get it done. But you're right about Arsenal, the fans are loving it there. Some of the players they have, unbelievable players at such a young age as well. You look at Saka, Saliba, Odegaard, Martinelli, players like that, they could be there for the next 5-10 years, so they're starting to dream, Arsenal fans.
We'll talk more about City in a bit, but there's an interesting stat I was reading before this game that Manchester City, in their 24 games so far this season, have fallen behind in 11 of them.
Yeah.
That is incredible, isn't it, for a team of this stature? I know they have incredible players to pull them back into those matches, but is that lapses in concentration? Is that them coasting too much? What do you put that down to?
Yeah, I would go along with that. The concentrations fell off massively. Pep Guardiola will not like that stat at all. It's so hard to win any game of football, especially in the Premier League when you go a goal behind. So to have to come from behind 11 times to try and do it, you're just asking too much of yourself. Pep would much rather, like in years gone by, where he's coasting 3-4-0 in games and he can get 1 or 2 players off the pitch and manage them that way. So yeah, he'll want a much better start from his team, because games where Manchester City do go a goal up, you expect them then to just go on and win. They control the game at their tempo, they know when to attack, when to keep the ball, but they can't keep falling behind. And they did against Brentford a couple of weeks ago, and thankfully for them they came back, but that won't happen every week.
Well, we've touched on Burnley there. Let's keep the talk at the bottom now, because elsewhere it was Sheffield United 0, Brighton 5. Brighton hitting 5 there again, as they did in the FA Cup. Are you signing off the bottom two at the moment, Sheffield United and Burnley?
Yeah, I think those two will go. I don't know what may happen with Everton and Nottingham Forest points wise, with breaches that they may have done, but Burnley and Sheffield United will, they may as well write it off.
We're expecting a decision on Everton's points appeal imminently. That seems to be the sign that we're getting at the moment. But above those two, it's one from how many for you? You've got Luton, Everton, Forest, who are 4 points clear of the drop. Palace 5 points clear. Brentford 5 points. And then there's a 3-point gap up to Brentford, who are on 28. They're 8 points clear. Is that going to be enough for them to be bubbling along with?
Yeah, I think Bournemouth and above will be fine. So yeah, Brentford, I'd still put Brentford in the discussion for it. Yes, they have the advantage, of course they do, because they've got the points on the board, but there's nothing inspiring about their football at all at the moment. And the one hope they do have is Ivan Toney's back and he's playing well. But the rest of the teams down there, they're going to have to be fighting for their lives. Sheffield United and Burnley, just the quality's not there. It's just unacceptable how bad they are, to be honest. Both losing 5-0 at home, and you're not even shocked at those results anymore. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. And Oliver Glasner in at Crystal Palace. We were just talking off air there about other options they might have looked to. They've gone down the Austrian route for this one. Is that going to be a move that moves them up the table, do you think?
I think more importantly than him, they need Olise and Eze back. Obviously Mark Gay would be a big help if he was available too, but the two special players being injured is a big blow. That's where their goals come from, is the creative spark in the team. He'll want them back ASAP, because the game last night against Everton, it was just both teams toothless. There was no real quality in the final third. So it doesn't matter who your manager is, if you're lacking those creative players, you're going to struggle.
Manchester United winners again. I mean, they're a funny team. I think I heard Gary Neville speaking about them the other day, saying that they're getting these results, but they're at the same time so close to humiliating themselves every single time. But at the moment, at least, they're getting the job done. They're now up into 6th place, 3 points off 5th, which might end up being a Champions League place, and it's suddenly starting to look quite good for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I can get what Gary Neville's on about. I think in all 4 wins that they've had, the opposition teams had 20 or more shots against them, so that's quite worrying in itself. But I do just think this Man United team are probably at their best when it is an end-to-end basketball game. Yes, they can look ridiculously open at times, but I just think with the pace and the threat out wide of Rashford and Garnacho, it suits them in that respect. It's not sustainable in the long term, but I think at the moment they're finding a way to score goals, and especially with Rasmus Højlund hitting form, yeah, Ten Hag will be happy with the last 4 games.
Yeah, well, Ten Hag was very happy, and he has been speaking about his main striker.
We always believed he's a fantastic striker. He has great abilities. He's very young, and yeah, he had to. He needed some adaptation, and he was unlucky, and we were unlucky by decision made against him. For instance, a penalty he should have kept against Arsenal. Against Brighton, he scored a goal. He was cancelled, and no one still knows why. Things like this, and that, of course, when you then don't score, something with your belief is going on. But he's a strong character, and that is what you see in this moment. He keep fighting, keep working for better performances, and now he's scoring, and now he has a lot of confidence, and it looks like every ball is going in.
All the noises coming out of Old Trafford at the moment are quite positive, aren't they, in terms of, seems like Sir Jim Radcliffe is trying to sort out the stadium, Dan Ashworth's coming down from Newcastle. is the best thing they can do is go and give Højlund some support in the summer by bringing in another semi-top striker?
I do think they need another striker, but I'm wary of what type they need. I was so happy in January that they didn't bring anyone in, even with Martial being injured, because I thought, play Højlund for 15 games, see what he can do. I think he's been brilliant the whole season, even when he wasn't scoring. I think his all-round game is fantastic. They get linked with certain players, say like Ivan Toney, for example. I don't think that's a help to Højlund. I think Højlund has to be starting 75-80% of the games next season. I think he's the real deal and the man to take him forward. So maybe if they could get a versatile forward who can play as a 9, can play on the left. I know it's not going to be him per se, but say a Diego Jota type, where he can filter across the front three. Because, yeah, I'd want Højlund playing most games.
Yep, so that was the win for Manchester United on Sunday. Where else can we look at? Let's have a look at Wolves, shall we? Winners at Tottenham. We were talking about Gary O'Neill a bit earlier on. That's another landmark win for them, having smashed Chelsea 4-2 in their previous away game. Yeah, no, they've been brilliant. Honestly, at the start of the season, I worried about them making a managerial change so close to the start of the season, selling some of their best players. But Gary O'Neill's done a fantastic job. And it's not even just the results. They play some good football at times as well. The second goal where Neto breaks away. I love seeing Wolves on the counter-attack like that. They done it at home to Manchester United when they made it 3-3 in the 93rd or 94th minute. Another breakaway goal, and within 2 or 3 passes they can just be bearing down on goal. It's beautiful football for me. I much prefer that than just 80 passes every time you get the ball. So yeah, Gary O'Neill can be very happy, but he's ambitious. He'll still want him to kick on. He'll be pushing challenges for them. They have no threat of relegation, but he'll be looking up rather than down the table. Yeah, certainly will be. Maybe they can get a Europa Conference League spot. That's what they'll be in the battle for anyway. Manchester City certainly will be in the Champions League next season. They want to be the winners of the Premier League once again. No side has ever won it 4 times in a row before. Will they be able to get a 4th successive title? We'll find out whether they can take another step towards that here tonight. We can now hear from the 2 managers, Pep Guardiola and Thomas Frank.
It's an honor. Go for it. So what it is, and we have to continue doing what we try. But it's normal. I knew it. After that in the beginning was a lack of consistency, and I said, it's how we behave and many things and how we perform. And I'm the first to demand myself, the team do it during 95 minutes, knowing that it's impossible. But the reality is, since we lost against Aston Villa, we didn't lose one game, and the games we draw, we were better.
I think we, in general, are good defensively, and we don't give much away. But this season we've been giving more away than usual. Chances, goals that we normally haven't seen us give away. And that's the big thing we are trying to adjusting. Also heard something that apparently, I think the last 24 games, that 19 times we played a different setup at the back. Doesn't help, but that's part of it. And there's things the goals we conceded, we still need to avoid no matter how many players I'm changing.
The long balls is the master. He used the body for the second balls. Good finishing. You can link with him, one of the best I've ever seen. So he's a real threat. Always had been. It was a few weeks ago when we were the goal we conceded was we defend not properly, but he did it really well.
Foden is a very good player. For me, he's the closest I think England get to potentially get a Ballon d'Or winner in the future. I think he got that potential or that level. I think he can influence the game in so many ways. Last game he got on the end of 3 situations and scored 3 goals. He's very good dribbling. He's very good. Can slide people in, work very hard. Seems to have a good mentality. I don't know him personally, but looks from the outside to have a very good mentality in terms of working hard. So he is he's very good.
Manchester City have got so good, haven't they, over the last few years? It must be a weird thing for them having a home game, because they know that probably 90% of the teams they play are just going to sit there on the edge of the area and happily play counter-attack. It must be mentally quite a hard thing to get your head around time after time.
Absolutely, and it's always hard to break down. So I know we become accustomed to them doing so, but that's just more so the quality of their players. Fantastic how they manage to do it week after week. Today will be tough. Brentford will sit in, like you said, and they'll try and play forward very early into Toney. and then link from there. I know Pep Guardiola, he can say a few things sometimes. He's saying one of the best he's ever seen. I'm not too sure about that. He said Mateus Nunes was one of the best players in the world a few years ago, and he took that comment back. So, but he knows what a threat Ivan Toney can be, and Manchester City have to keep their eye on him tonight, because if he gets the ball down and starts bringing others into play, that's where Brentford can break from.
Yeah, with the Etihad slowly filling up here, where Manchester City are unbeaten this season. They're unbeaten since November 2022, when Brentford took the points here. They'll be hoping to get another win on the board here in this one this evening. This game was actually meant to be played just before Christmas, but Manchester City away at the Club World Cup, where they got themselves the title of Champions of the World, as their PA announcer is always keen to remind the fans here. He'll be in full voice, as will the fans, in a few minutes' time as we get ready for Manchester City against Brentford. It's coming up in 5 minutes. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Previously on White and Jordan.
Well, we didn't budget for this money. Surely we want to give it to our lesser cousins. Yes, and the moon's made of cheese, right?
Clash of the Simon.
The modern day fairy tale today in English football almost inevitably involves money.
There's no such thing as a no-score draw.
But this will be an exercise in goodwill. Something that the Premier League is bereft of.
How biased is Trevor? Sort it out. Seriously, sort it out.
White and Jordan.
The nation's primary destination for a triple distilled opinion and blistering debate.
Weekday mornings from 10 on the world-famous Talk Sport.
Download the new improved Free Times Radio app today and experience a range of brand new features, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto functionality. You can listen to Times Radio via your Google Cast or Apple AirPlay-enabled speakers and TVs. Catch up on the latest award-winning podcasts from leading journalists at The Times and The Sunday Times. Plus, you can listen back to the last 7 days of Times Radio programs and pause, rewind, and fast-forward them as you wish. Download the Free Times Radio app from the App Store or Google Play today.
Week in the Tackle is a weekly podcast where we tackle the week in football and or soccer every week of the European football season.
That's right, Tom, but don't you forget Major League Soccer too. In fact, I'm probably on a plane heading to a game right now.
You are the hardest working man in showbiz. Which game are you covering?
I don't even know.
Let me guess. It's the San Francisco Beavers against the Utah Jazz Oilers.
Yeah, based on your sporting knowledge in the United States, it's something like that.
All the big stories will be covered, sure, but we'll mainly be discussing the things from the past week we found interesting and think it's worth tackling. It's all in the name, really.
Week in the Tackle, it's available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Subscribe today and do not miss a single episode.
News talk.
Money talk. Business talk.
Talk radio.
Have a better breakfast with Hartley Brewer.
Monday to Thursday mornings from 6:30 on Talk Radio.
Something's cooking in the news kitchen.
Eggs, sausage, bacon, beans. Hartley Brewer.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more.
All the ingredients of a great British breakfast.
I do think the policy is being made by people who have no idea how ordinary people live.
Wake up and smell the debate. Breakfast with Julia Hartley Brewer.
Monday to Thursday mornings from 6:30
on Talk Radio.
TalkSport Drive. Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. A tower of sporting power in the afternoon.
Join me, Andy Goldstein, and TalkSport Team Drive.
The latest sports news, hard-hitting opinion, and exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game.
Under the bonnet, over the top, into the back of the net.
Sports Mad Afternoon Radio, driven by you.
Revs up weekdays from 4, only on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home.
TalkSport Drive.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Manchester City against Brentford from the Etihad Stadium. I'm your host, James Fielden. Alongside me is the former West Ham QPR and Toronto winger, Hogan Ephraim. This is Premier League Live, and we are just about ready to get underway. A reminder of the team news for you tonight, starting with Manchester City. Ederson in goal, Walker the captain at right back, Stones, Ruben Diaz and Akanji at left back. Rodri will sit in front with Alvarez and Bernardo Silva either side. Foden right, Bob left, Haaland up top. For Brentford, they've got Flecken in goal, Jornsson, Ayer and Me the back three, Roslev, Onyeka, Norgard the captain, Janelt and Reguilon across midfield, Toney and Wissa are the front two. The two sides are out and ready to go. A hug and embrace between Messrs Guardiola and Frank as they say hello to one another once again. It's only been a couple of weeks since they saw them last. A hat-trick for Phil Foden that day, as Manchester City took all 3 points down at the G-Tech, now looking to do it in front of their own fans once again. What chance are you giving Brentford here, Hogan? Percentage chance?
5% at best. I just think Manchester City will turn the screw tonight. I think they'll be very disappointed to drop points at the weekend, and they'll just want to send a statement out. This is their game in hand. Push themselves back up to second. I think they'll get the job done.
It's meant to be an early Christmas cracker. Will there be a big contest here tonight? Will Brentford be able to cause Manchester City problems like they hope? We are about to find out. Brentford have been on a rotten run of late. It's the second fewest points they've ever had after 24 Premier League games. They've only got 25 at this point. They had 38 last year. They have been a side that have been hit and miss. Haven't drawn any of the last 17 games in the league. They would certainly take a point in this one. As we get underway, Norgard goes straight back to Flecken, who's going to load this one long. Brentford attacking the opposite end to where their travelling fans are in this first half. Janelt with a header towards Tony. Reguilon down the left wing here, hooks a high ball in towards Wissa. Onyeka was in there as well. Roslev trying to get a boot on it. Early attack for Brentford comes through to Walker, who nods it back to Ederson, and already inside 20 seconds Brentford showing that they can put the ball in some areas that might hurt Manchester City.
Yeah, I think that we've just seen that's what their game plan will be. They'll want to get the ball up to the front, lads. They're going to have to battle and be strong and just get bodies around them and try and overload players into the box for crossing opportunities.
Ball back here with Flecken, who goes out to Aya, who carries it outside his own penalty area, gives it to Norgard. Under pressure from Haaland, Aya has put the ball into Flecken's path, but Flecken was stretching and has put the ball out of play for a throw. A few early nerves there. Plenty of City fans still taking their places here. It is pretty dry for now, but it was teeming down with rain an hour or so ago. Here's Oscar Bob making his first Premier League start for Manchester City on the left. It's weird, isn't it, when you've got a team full of elite players, you can drop in the youngsters here and there. We saw it with Rico Lewis, didn't we, at the end of last year, who had a good run in the team in the end, but it can really give opportunities to those younger players.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to deal with the young players as well in an ideal world. We even saw it a few years ago with Iheanacho at Manchester City. You could just drop him in now and then, he'd still get his goals. So yeah, it's a fantastic conveyor belt that they've got.
Kanji left to Bernardo Silva, looking for Alvarez on the edge of the penalty area. This game now settling down into the pattern we expected. Manchester City passing the ball around in the Brentford half. Brentford sat back on the edge of their own penalty area. Haaland trying to turn away here from Norgard. Foden, edge of the area, goes to the right hand side to Walker. Plays it back past Foden. Stones, Rodri, Kanji to the left, but he goes back right. Stones stepping forward, right up to the edge of the area here. Haaland inside the D, threads it forward looking for Foden, and Reguilon was hoping the ball would run out of play for a goal kick, but in the end he has to carry it away and then nudged off the ball easily by Haaland, the monster that is, and Haaland goes for goal. A tester, a curler. He hit it with some pace but not too much power, straight down Flecken's throat.
Yeah, but he's got involved nice and early here, Haaland. 2.5 minutes in, a few times the ball's come into his feet, he's turned. The pass to Foden wasn't the greatest, but then he chases down Reguilon, great strength, gets his shot away, so he looks up for it.
Janelt on the edge of his own penalty area, goes back here to Flecken, who swings the ball away on his left side to Aya on the right. Launches one over the top, looking for the run here of Wissa, who wasn't bothered about challenging for the header. He was hoping the mistake was going to be made by Ruben Dias. It wasn't. It was nodded down. Walker inside to Rodri. Stones, and now Ruben Dias. It looks like Stones is going to be marching into midfield on many an occasion tonight.
Yeah, we've seen him do that over the past season or a half, and he's so good at it, it just gives him an extra body in there.
Foden wide to Walker on the right here. Not up against his old phony on Mope tonight, who's been left on the bench. Foden, right corner of the penalty area. Rodri, edge of the D. Cuts the ball across to Akanji, 25 yards from goal. Thought about the shot, goes square to Stones. Out to the right now to Walker. Takes a touch, steadies himself with a cross, which is deflected into the air, and Flecken has it. This is going to be a long night for Brentford.
Yeah, you can see how they have everybody behind the ball in such a compact space. It must be a nightmare trying to break it down, but we're seeing Pep Guardiola here. His team just do it time and time again. They'll look for Kyle Walker to push on. It won't be as natural for Akanji on that left-hand side, but you mentioned John Stones stepping into midfield, and they're just going to want to overload Brentford.
If you're Brentford, how do you train for this kind of game? I'm sure you'd have been in this situation in your time at various clubs.
Yeah, mentally it's tough, because especially if you're an attacking player like I was, you just know you're doing a defensive job the whole time. It's not a game Ivan Toney, for example, would particularly be looking forward to. He'll know his touches will be limited, but it's just digging in. Every man helping out each other, helping out your teammate.
But in terms of the sessions you're doing, what is the manager doing ahead of this kind of match?
Just getting the distances right, so you're not going to want the back three Brentford will play with and the front two being too far apart, keeping it within a 15-20 yard distance at all times, knowing that if they've got comfortable possession, you have to drop off into that low block and just defend certain spaces. And there'll be areas that Thomas Frank will be happy for Manchester City to have the ball, so he would have just been drilling that into the players.
Akanji forward from the back here for City, left of centre. Oscar Bob on the left wing to Bernardo Silva, back to Bob. Bob through the legs of Roslev, still going down the left wing. Roslev has a hand on his shoulder. Bob holding his own out there. Akanji, square to Rodri, just outside the penalty area. Wissa there defending against him. Forward to Bob, edge of the box. Left hand side now, Bernardo Silva. Akanji. Rodri finds the pass now to Bob, who then goes back out. Maybe could have turned there and tried to penetrate the Brentford back line. Rodri, left side, holds it, plays it short to Alvarez. Edge of the area now is Haaland. Back to Alvarez, inside the box. Alvarez on his left side, crowded out in the end. Roslev stepped in and concedes the game's first corner.
Fantastic football there from Manchester City. They find Alvarez just in that little pocket in the number 10 position. The 1-2 with Haaland was beautiful. I think he just delayed his shot. I thought he could have pulled the trigger on his left foot, but Manchester City with the corner now, they'll keep the pressure on.
Brentford trying to make sure they've got numbers in the right areas to defend this corner, which is bent in well. Flecken double punch away, comes back out to Foden. Hits something there of Johan Wissa. I think it was probably the shoulder. Back out to Foden on the right hand side. Puts a high ball in with his right. Headed into the air by Jonsson, and then calls for his keeper to come and collect it. And Flecken does that.
Yeah, he's done well coming to grab that Flecken, but the technique from Phil Foden was out of this world. That was a half volley. It looked about hip height, and he just got his body over the ball. And you always knew his technique was going to be wonderful. Ben-Mee ends up blocking a shot because it was definitely goal bound, but technique's outrageous.
City unbeaten here in 34 games in all competitions. Their best run since they went 36 without defeat going into 2018. Don't think we're going to see too much of this from Brentford tonight, but the stat that's really holding them back this season is that they've missed 48 big chances in the league this season. They haven't been good in front of goal, have they? And they're going to have to be that if they're to take something here.
Yeah, here more than anywhere you have to be super clinical, but 48 big chances, that's a lot. So Thomas Frank won't be happy with that stat. The only positive he'll take out of it is you'd rather them missing the chances than not getting them. That's when you'd really start to worry.
Alvarez exchanging passes here with Stones. They're creeping forward, City. Stones inside to Rodri. Foden now gets space on the edge of the area. His effort deflected and grabbed by Flecken. They're starting to get shots away. They're starting to find space. Little combinations around the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, I don't think Thomas Frank will be happy with Alvarez earlier on getting the ball in that 10 position and then Foden doing it there as well. I think he will accept Manchester City having the ball a little bit wider, but in those little pockets he's going to want the spaces more congested.
Stones, the position stats are going to be heavily weighted in City's favour in this one. Crossing to Haaland, his header goes over. Well, they're all trying, aren't they? At the moment, we've played 8 minutes. It's Manchester City 0, Brentford 0. Give us a tweet if you're out and about, wherever you're listening to the game from tonight. Let us know your thoughts and feelings about this one. Do you think this title race goes right to the end?
I think it'll go as close to the end as possible. I think Manchester City will probably win it with a game or two to spare.
In the end, they won it with quite a few to spare, didn't they, against Arsenal last year?
Yeah, exactly. But I looked at the fixtures of the three teams. I do think Manchester City have the hardest running. But I just think they're capable of going and winning anywhere when the pressure's on.
City weren't top until the 30th of April last season. and eventually won it by a fair few points ahead of Arsenal, winning 14 of their final 17 games. Cross in here for Brentford by Aya. It's headed partially away, back in by Onyeka. Whistler didn't fancy it. Ruben Dias did once and twice, then a collision on the edge of the area. Comes out here towards Aya. Brentford have got to be careful not to get caught in the counter here. They stop that threat. Jorgensen back to Roslev on the right. Norgard wants it square. Roslev goes back here now, and Jorgensen forwards to Onyeka, one of those brought into the side tonight, the Nigeria international. Given away. Bob not showing too much pace there down the left hand side. Brentford nearly made it easy for him, but they've got it back now. Wasn't looking too sprightly there, was he?
No, he wasn't. Probably the difference between a youth player coming in, not having the power in his legs there. You could see the more senior Brentford players, they just breezed past him. But yeah, expected a little bit more effort from him there.
Why, did you say he's not built for it yet? Or?
Yeah, I think sometimes you can see that when you...
Hang on a sec, Tony slipped it forward here towards Whistler. Wonderful intervention there by Stones, and then Reguilon couldn't sort his feet out and sends it behind. But Brentford just a couple of openings in the last minute or so.
Yeah, that looked promising. But just going back to Oscar Bob, yeah, sometimes you can see a player come through the academy and you could be one of the quickest, one of the sharpest at your level and with players your age, but you're coming up against some of the best athletes in the world here. So it's such a step up, and that's one of the main reasons managers tend to hold them back before putting them in, because they want that power in the legs.
High ball forward here towards Haaland. Mee got something on it, nearly flattens Haaland, but a missed cute header here from Rodri, falls to Tony. Ruben Dias takes it down. Akanji. Challenge here by Onyeka. Brentford are putting plenty of energy into their performance. Ruben Dias to Akanji inside his own half here, midway through his own section of the pitch, and Ruben Dias out to Stones. Right hand side up the line to Walker. Stones in field now. Rodri. Stones. Alvarez ahead of him centrally. Goes to Walker on the right in line with the edge of the penalty area. Back inside to Stones. Alvarez. Forward now to Foden. He can turn in tight spaces, plays it right here to Walker. They've gone through him a lot so far. His cross isn't great though, deflected. And Tony picks it up on the edge of his own area. Feeds Norgard. Reguilon just puts some height on the ball to give Brentford a chance to get forward here, but Tony couldn't pick it up. Rodri, Alvarez edge of the area. So Walker on the right. Low ball cut back, but Norgard intercepts and plays it away. Time and time again they're going through Walker, aren't they?
They are, and his crossing's just letting him down at the minute. I expect him to improve that as the course of the game goes on. Fabulous player. But I think Brentford are finding it hard. Alvarez and Foden are rotating. They're taking up positions in that little pocket. But sometimes it's Alvarez, then other times it's Foden. So you can't just pin down one of them.
Reguilon hooks it forward, looking for the run here of Onyeka, who burst from the pack. Ederson with a wallop back towards the Brentford goal. Ayers header. Now lovely play here by Bernardo Silva to get away from Norgard. Bob on the left. Rodri is central. Bob. Bernardo Silva on the left side. Back to Bob again. He's trying to keep things neat and tidy. Akanji approaching the edge of the area. He's in the area now on the left. Goes back out to find Bernardo Silva. Bob. Akanji inside the box looking for Foden on the left. He's got a pretty free role in this City side tonight. Bernardo Silva. Left side, just outside the box. Bob. Foden, left corner of the penalty area. Swings in a high ball. Haaland went down inside the area. Ayers stretches out his arms to the people moaning as though to say, really nothing happened there. And Haaland didn't really complain either.
Yeah, that was fabulous feat from Bernardo Silva in the middle of the park. I think he's my favourite player to watch in the Premier League when he's on song. So smooth with it. Technically, he's a magician.
Reguilon picked that ball up the line, but he was blocked all the way by Julian Alvarez. I think a man who probably doesn't get enough credit, Alvarez. Came over from River Plate in South America and many, me included, would have probably expected he's alone away from getting regular minutes, but slotted in seamlessly, and has given City so much. 8 goals and 6 assists this season.
Yeah, and he's shown his versatility as well. Obviously he came over as a number 9, but minutes will be limited with Erling Haaland being there. So he's played a little bit deeper at times, he's played wide right, and he's just been fantastic.
Jonsson rolls one down the right hand side here for Roslev. Roslev going back out towards the halfway line. Jonsson. City have played this game hundreds of times, haven't they, under the reign of Pep Guardiola. Number 452 for him in charge tonight. They must really relish those games, though, against the likes of Chelsea, and when the big hitters come here in the Champions League as well, because it must feel like a more normal football match for them.
Absolutely. You've seen over the past 2 years when they've played Bayern Munich here, Real Madrid last year, and the games get a little bit stretched, they just go and put them to the sword by 3 or 4, because you don't want a basketball game against Manchester City. They're too good, they'll pick you off. These are the more frustrating ones, and it's just about getting that first goal and then the floodgates open. But the longer that first goal takes, the opposition will grow in belief, and the more frustrated you'll become.
Bernardo Silva, left hand side now, and Bob. Bernardo Silva again. Feeds it towards the edge of the box, looking for Foden. It's cut out though by Vitaly Janelta, player of great versatility for Thomas Frank. They've won 3 of 11 on the road so far this season, Brentford, but have only scored 13 goals. They could be onto another here, because Onyeka is away down the left. He's inside the area as well, and didn't have the composure when it was needed. He knew that Kyle Walker was breathing down his neck, couldn't open up his body, and side-footed it straight at the goalkeeper.
Oh, what a chance that is. They won't get many better chances than that, Brentford. Fantastic play from Wissa to release Onyeka. He didn't really get the ball out of his feet. When he's tried to do that curling right-footed finish, it's more come off his heel and gone straight at Ederson, but massive chance.
Bernardo Silva, edge of the area, just right centre of it. Rodri into the box now for Foden. Back to Rodri again, borderline offside. Cuts it back to Bernardo Silva. Foden on his left. They're inside the box here, City, but Brentford defending well. Rodri. Foden, edge of the box. Twisting and turning, pirouetting. Edge of the D now is Alvarez. Was desperate to get the shot away and sent it over the top.
Yeah, too many touches there for Manchester City in the opposition box. The longer you take, the less chance you're going to have of scoring, and they just overcooked it. I think Alvarez was a bit frustrated how long it took to get to him. But just looking back at that Onyeka chance, I think you hit the nail on the head about Kyle Walker. He's the last person in world football you'd want breathing down your neck in that position. And yeah, he just can't open up his body. It comes off the heel as he's trying to do that little Thierry Henry finish, and that's food and drink for Ederson.
It's the option there to just check back and just send Walker past you.
Yeah, well, we saw Raheem Sterling do that at the weekend, and it worked brilliantly for him, but I've been in that position with Kyle Walker chasing you down, and it's horrible. It's horrible. There's not many more scary feelings in football.
Well, Brentford here have won a free kick. Onyeka, who's been the most advanced of all their midfielders so far, has been caught by Ruben Dias, and this is within Ivan Toney territory, you'd say.
He had a few sighters at the weekend, Ivan Toney, against Liverpool. He had 2 or 3 free kicks then, which weren't to his normal standard, but we know what he's got from this sort of range. He can really, really test a goalkeeper.
He's spotting it up at the moment. Scored in both of his away games in the Premier League this season, at Tottenham and at Wolves. Looking to become the first Brentford player to net in 3 successive games away from the G-Tech at this level. There's so much speculation about where he's going to be next season. For now, he's just trying to score goals. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago and joked that the manager, Thomas Frank, was trying to sell him when he was saying that he's likely to be moving on in the summer. His focus on the game, and his focus here on this yellow Nike match ball. Oh, it's touched to him, and Toney goes for goal just over the bar. Well, they changed the angle ever so slightly there. Reguilon ran towards the ball and just moved it slightly to the right, gave Toney a slightly different viewpoint, and he wasn't far over.
Yeah, it's a good effort in the end there from Toney, because Reguilon's touch wasn't the best. Toney's had to readjust his movement. but he gets hold of it well over the wall, but just can't dip it back down under the crossbar.
And he actually whips it in the end, but because the wall has split, could have put his laces through it.
Yeah, I think initially he would have wanted to go with his laces. I just think Reguilón's layoff wasn't a great one, and he's had to readjust and probably got caught in two minds, but it was a good effort nonetheless.
You just wouldn't see too many teams from that kind of free kick situation, especially against Manchester City, have the nerve to do anything other than have a shot, would you?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So they are one of the more inventive teams in the Premier League when it comes to set pieces. Maybe they've seen a weakness in the wall. Do they delay coming out and charging? I'm not too sure, but that will definitely be something they've worked on.
I don't think they could have a set piece specialist coach like some of the clubs now do. It's normally left to the goalkeeper coach to come up with such things. Here's Walker on the right, near the corner flag, goes back out to Alvarez, right corner of the penalty area now. Square to Stones, looks left, bobs the option. Rodri.
Look how compact Brentford are there. You could literally throw a blanket over the 10 outfield players.
Akanji, Ruben Dias, Bernardo Silva, Haaland edge of the area, looks to return to Bernardo Silva, couldn't quite lay it back off to a teammate. It has to be put behind by Roslev. Corner City.
Yeah, it's tough trying to break through that. I think Oscar Bob, maybe Alvarez on the right hand side, they've got to stay wide, give some width, unless the fullbacks are going to push on and do that job. You've got to try and stretch this back line of Brentford. It's a lovely idea that Bernardo Silva had, stepping over the ball and taking it.
He takes the corner as well, deep towards the far post, but Flecken took a small jump off the ground to collect. 21 minutes in, and Brentford will be happy with where they've got to so far. They've limited City to mainly efforts from outside the box and had a couple of their own as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing, that they have carried a threat. It's not that they've just been weathering the storm for 20 minutes. They look threatening going forward.
And Wissa's onside here. He's through. Johan Wissa, heavy touch. He was offside. It didn't look like he was going to be offside. The flag didn't go up till late, and City complaining.
Yeah, the flag's gone up, but Wissa wasn't to know that, and the touch was awful. I know it's with his head, but he's got to take that in his path, get the goal, and then see if you were offside or not. But terrible touch from him.
Akanji, edge of the area left. Rodri, Bob running here at Rosler. Doesn't really want to take him on. Thought about it, check, went back. Akanji, Rodri, Carl Walker, he was winding up for the effort there. Alvarez on the right, Stones, Rodri, dead centre. That's the ability to go left to Akanji. Here's Bob. Attack v defence in the extreme here. Akanji in, headed into the air by Janelt. Aya sends it out the area, and Wissa plays it away to Tony here on the left. But Tony has the arrogance and confidence to just take it forward here at his own pace. Do you think Gareth Southgate will be including him in the summer?
I would suspect so, yeah. I know Ollie Watkins is having a fantastic season himself, but Ivan Toney's really looked good since coming back.
Janelt racing away down the left here. Ruben Dias comes over and hammers it into the stand.
Yeah, I think Ivan Toney just gives you a different option to Ollie Watkins. He could be a handful at international level, I think, using his strength, his power against the centre-backs. I think he could be a real outlet.
Tony running forward here, came off him last. It's not a shout and scream, is he, Ivan Toney? Plays his own game, doesn't get rattled by anything else, just accepts things and gets on with it. It's a good trait of his to have, really.
Yeah, no, very good. Very good. His mindset seems really good as well. Maybe he shouldn't be doing too many interviews about wanting to go to a bigger club and win titles. I think we all know he will get his move in the summer. I think he should just let that be. But yeah, fantastic player.
What kind of fee are you expecting him to go for?
It's a tough one, because I thought David Raya would go for more than he did, but he was in the last year of his contract. But I think you're looking at 50 to 60 million maybe at Ivan Toney. There are some clubs out there that really look to be in the market for a striker. Arsenal, Chelsea, possibly Tottenham. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be no shortage of takers for him.
I think he might be staying in the capital.
Yeah, I'd suspect so, yeah. I just think it makes sense. I could see him leading the line at Chelsea. He wouldn't need to move home. I think it'd be a fantastic addition for them, so a move like that
Ball forward here for Brentford after a free kick goes straight through to Edison, who's encouraged to hammer it downfield. That he does, and Alvarez away down the right wing. Hasn't got support yet. Running here on Yeka. And the support slow in arriving. Walker gets there now. Plays it left. Akanji. Bernardo Silva. Rodri. Brentford trying to stay switched on mentally here. Stones. Walker. Right, he goes to Alvarez. Walker. Back centre again for Stones. Walker crosses, low one in and away by Aya. He's annoyed as he concedes the corner.
Yeah, I think Flecken called for that one and Aya should have just let it run through to his goalkeeper. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game in a way. Brentford want the ball to go wide to the Manchester City players. That's where the space is for Manchester City, but they want to force it and go central into the little pocket, so they need their wide players to really get on their game.
25 gone 0-0. Haaland's down inside the box. Arms around him. He's had a tough time of it this season, hasn't he, with injury?
Yeah.
He's only scored in one game since December. The two he got against Everton here, his only goal since netting against Leipzig on the 28th of November, I beg your pardon. Corner comes in here towards Haaland. Aya nods it down, hammered back by Alvarez over the top. And City just haven't had that finishing touch so far. There has only been one shot on target for them so far.
Yeah, that was a bit wild up from Alvarez. He didn't get over the ball, he was lashing at it. He needed to try and replicate the technique of Phil Foden earlier with his effort. But going back to Haaland, I know he's the top goal scorer in the Premier League. I think if you asked, or if you said to Jurgen Klopp, Mikel Arteta before the start of the season that in mid to late February he would have 16 league goals, I think they would have snapped your hand off, because as we know from last year, he could just run away with stupid numbers if he's fully fit and firing.
Yeah, and I guess ultimately City have been trouncing teams without him anyway, so
yeah,
I guess it would only be their goal difference really that would be better off than where they're at the moment. Walker showing the superior strength here against Sergio Reguilon. So shepherd the ball out of play. Edison. Rodri to Stones. The City bench, by the way, tonight: Nathan Ake, Mateo Kovacic, Jeremy Doku, Kevin De Bruyne, Stefan Ortega, the sub-keeper, Scott Carson, the sub-keeper, Sergio Gomez, Mateus Nunes, and Rico Lewis.
This could really be a game that Jeremy Doku makes an impact on, to be honest.
Grealish still out injured at the moment as well, so the emphasis very much on someone like Doku.
All the space is wide for a wide man to be one-on-one with a wing-back, take him on, and we know that's Doku's speciality.
Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Oscar Bob on the left-hand side, running here at Roslev, goes past him, he's inside the area now, tries to cut it back towards Haaland, but pass wasn't accurate enough. And Brentford bring it away here. They've got it with Tony midway inside their own half. A couple of challenges going in on him, but he's lost the ball now. Ruben Dias into Foden. Into the area here. City probing. Alvarez going for goal again, this time wide. And by some margin as well, relatively speaking. Not close to troubling Flecken.
He'll be disappointed with that, Alvarez. That's a really decent chance for him. He's at the edge of the box, time and space there. Someone of his technique, he'd be expecting to hit the target. But I like what Oscar Bob did. He got the ball one-on-one against Roslev, and he didn't think twice. He just beat him, got to the byline. Yes, the cutback wasn't good enough, but just get to the byline, keep beating him, and things will happen, things will open up.
Ronald Koeman, one of the interested spectators here at the Etihad tonight. A man of great coaching pedigree. Currently in charge of the Netherlands.
You won't be too happy to see Ake on the bench.
Well, so I was just looking through to see who exactly he'd have been wanting to see, but managers do tend to know who's playing and who's not ahead of these visits. Flecken has the ball here for Brentford after a low one in from Foden. Just going back to talking about Doku, does this game have all the hallmarks of Oscar Bob swapping for Doku after an hour?
Yeah, or even possibly maybe an Alvarez or someone could come off. I'll just go with natural wide players today. I just think one-on-one against the two wing backs, fancy your chances and get at them. Watched Brentford away at Tottenham a few weeks back, and Timo Werner caused a lot of problems in the second half. Brennan Johnson came on, him the same. I think you have to isolate the wing backs. They're happy to send the ball out wide, so that's where you just got to show your qualities 1v1.
Bernardo Silva thought he was being fouled there by Jonsson. He was. The referee, who tonight is Darren England, gives the advantage. Right side is Walker. Back now to John Stones. Edge of the D, trotting in field. Goes square to Akanji. Bernardo Silva inside the box, manages to afford himself some time. Bob swings one in from the left and Haaland attacks it. He was running away from goal, had to try and hook it back over his head. It was always going to be hard, and too hard it was for him in the end.
Yeah, it's not bad though. They worked it well. They end up having 5 players in the box, so there's definitely enough numbers in there for the threat. The cross wasn't the best from Bob. The acrobats were nice from Haaland, but there was no way he could manoeuvre that on target. It would have been outrageous. Well,
we've seen some outrageous goals from him in the past, but just off balance there, wasn't he? And it was always hard for him to get up over the top of it.
Yeah, that would have topped the lot.
And Diaz puts it here into Akanji, stepping forward with poise and precision and purpose. Finds Bob on the left. His ball back behind Foden just when it needed a ball, swung across the 6-yard area.
Yeah, wrong option again. Brilliant from Akanji, powering through and then releasing Bob.
Wissa offside again after a ball into his path from Tony.
But they're starting to get into the right positions now, Manchester City. Yes, the final pass hasn't been good enough, or the quality on the shot hasn't been good enough, but it's a lot more promising in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Alvarez, edge of the area. Come on City, chant the home fans. Haaland, edge of the area, plays it now into Foden, but he was crowded out again. Onyeka does well. He's justifying his inclusion so far. He might have missed a good chance, but he's given them a bit of dynamism in midfield at least. And he wins a free kick here to relieve some of that pressure.
Fantastic play from him. His defenders will be so happy with him there, just like you said, relieving the pressure, powering away from players, winning the free kick. But just looking back, it's a brilliant position for Oscar Bob. You were right, he has to fire that across goal, across the 6-yard box for a Foden or a Haaland sliding in.
Has he taken his eye off what was actually in the middle? Because he was looking down at the ball for quite some time, wasn't he?
He was, and I know sometimes when you're going through like that, you're expecting the defenders will be running back towards their own goal, so you want to catch him out with a cutback, but I just thought the gap was so big he could just roll it across the 6-yard box.
Flecken floats a high one forward here from the halfway line from this free kick, but City send it all the way back, and Roslev will go home here to Flecken. He has to hammer it upfield. Well, for all of City's dominance, the two teams have had the same number of shots on target so far. They've played 32 minutes, it's 0-0. Bernardo Silva. They're trying to play at pace, aren't they, City? But I feel like there's only so much they can do here against the 2 layers of the red and white wall that is Brentford.
Yeah.
Wista trying to break away, and it's a clever ball over to the left-hand side to Tony, who will keep it in on this left touchline. Running here now against Ruben Diaz. Reguilon, edge of the area. Back to Tony. Infield to Norgard. Jonsson forward. Roslev on the right wing. Jonsson again puts a high one in towards Wissa. Ederson made it his.
Yeah, it looked a decent chance that on the breakaway. I know Ivan Toney's forced a little bit wide. I just wanted to see him run at John Stones, back him into the box and make John Stones make a decision.
Foden inside the centre circle. Janelt is there to stop him for now. He scored more goals in the Premier League against Brighton, Foden, than Brentford, who he's got 5 against in his career to date. Rodri clips a high one to Walker, far post, knocks it across goal, and Bernardo Silva somehow, inexplicably, puts his header wide. How has he missed that? Delightful ball in by Walker, probably for the first time tonight. He's got that delivery right. A really early run from him, great pick out, nice knock back, and it looked like Bernardo Silva would score, but wide it goes.
Yeah, I'm amazed that he hasn't put that away. Brilliant from Rodri. Walker's run forward was outstanding, and Rodri just finds him a pinpoint pass. The header back across from Walker's fabulous, and then you've just got to head that down into the ground on target, Bernardo Silva, and it's a goal. But he's done the right thing trying to send it back the way it came from, but he's just got his angles totally wrong and sent it off target.
Pep Guardiola has to be careful tonight to make sure his frustrations don't get the better of him. He's a yellow card away from a 2-match touchline ban. He's got 5 yellow cards to his name so far this season. It's over 10 minutes to go until half time. Do you think he'll have major complaints so far? He has given Brentford plenty of credit despite their lowly position.
I think he'll be a little bit disappointed in how slow Manchester City are moving it in these areas. And I know it is tough with all the players behind the ball, but you can go one side, go back out to the other, and you can stretch it, get it wider. Just centrally, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Foden, they've all took 3 and 4 touches every time they've got it. And that just allows Brentford to stay in shape.
Kanji winding up for one. That wasn't far away. Flecken flung over to his left-hand side to tip it over the top. It's a great save. Manchester City corner. That was heading towards the top corner there from Manuel Akanji.
That's a brilliant strike, that, from Akanji. Flecken with a nice save, just tipping it over the bar, but what an effort that is. I don't think that was part of the Man City game plan, how to break down Brentford, letting Akanji shoot from 30 yards.
Bernardo Silva in towards the near post. Flick into the air, Rodri still in there as well. Ayer trying to get it away to the edge of the area to Foden. It nearly sits up for him. Thought about the strike. Walker, wide to Bernardo Silva on the right wing. Up here against Norgard. Rodri, edge of the area. Curls onto the fast thing. Ruben Diaz down. Great save by Flecken. And away for another corner.
Yeah, brilliant save from Flecken. They're getting ahead of steam now, Man City. Nice ball from Rodri. It's 2v1 at the back post there with Haaland and Diaz. Tony can't cope with them. Good save that from Flecken.
Kicked it away in the end, did the Dutch goalkeeper. Punched away this time by the Dutchman and cleared away by Wissa. I'm sure Ronald Koeman might be looking at him as well. Maybe came to check him out given that he knew he was in for a busy night in a weird kind of way. Hard to impress the goalkeeper, especially in the top team. Bernardo Silva on the right wing. But this one of 2 Premier League games this midweek, with Luton taking on Liverpool tomorrow at Anfield. And towards Haaland here, couldn't make the connection. Oscar Bob takes a touch inside, delightful! Off the line by me! That had to be very, very close to crossing it.
Wow. Honestly, that first touch from Oscar Bob is out of this world. He shapes up like he's going to shoot, and first time just eliminates a defender.
Here's Bob again. Inside the area, lifted towards Alvarez. Brentford bring it away. Tony shielding it. Tony losing it. And a bit of anticipation here from the home fans that this goal might not be too far away for them. Alvarez. Wide to Bob. Up against Johansson. Away by Norgard. Throw in.
Brentford will be desperate for the half-time whistle. They'll want to get in with a clean sheet because Manchester City are building up.
How important is it for City to get the goal before half-time?
In there, yeah, I think it's massive. If Brentford can go in at 0-0, gather their thoughts, get their breath back, then that'll give them a big boost. But Manchester City, if they can get the goal, it will just totally deflate this Brentford team.
They had 31 shots against Chelsea at the weekend, which is the most they'd had in any Premier League game this season. Where things are going, bet they've come close to hitting that here tonight. Foden, Walker on the right. They have had a number of opportunities, haven't they, to hit an effort from range, and have thought better of it. I actually heard Gary O'Neill speaking recently. He was saying that he thought now, possibly more than ever, there wasn't too much value in going for goal from range so much, but City certainly employing the same tactic here of almost trying to walk it in. Bernardo Silva back to the edge of the area here to Rodri. He sets it. Akanji goes for goal again. Another deflection, another corner.
Yeah, Brentford can't get out. They need to try and get the ball into Tony, maybe win a free kick or something, and push themselves 30 yards up the pitch, because they're just dropping deeper and deeper into their 6-yard box.
Alvarez with the corner on the left wing. Tony being spoken to here by the referee. Rostev having a word as well. Referee just trying to settle one or two things down here. Another Manchester City corner. This number 6. Bit of manhandling inside the area. It's a corner that is deep and past everyone for a goal kick.
Such a waste that, and it just lets Brentford off the hook. Pressure's been building. Just looking back at that Oscar Bob shot or effort, brilliant from Ben Mee, but the first touch from Oscar Bob's brilliant. It's outrageous.
Just sent Norgard away. And a slight deflection on his effort as well. It was right on the line, wasn't it, for me?
Yeah.
Nowhere near going over. 40 minutes gone. Manchester City 0, Brentford 0. Not an unimaginable scoreline coming into this one. The City have certainly grown as this half has gone on.
Yeah, they have, and that will be promising for Guardiola. We obviously know he's got a few aces on the bench as well that he can use, but I'll be happy that they've picked up the tempo and they're starting to create chances at a good rate now.
Five to go until the break. Especially this latest corner that came in, the clash off the ball between Rodri and Jonsson by the looks of things. A bit of a stoppage here. Now we're back underway, and a high ball forward by Flecken. They're not playing out tonight, are they, Brentford?
No, they won't be playing out at any stage tonight. They will definitely be going direct into the front two.
But I think fans like to see that, don't they? Look, I think everyone accepts that this is the way they're going to play now. Every time I go to a match with my mum now, she's like, I can't stand this, you know, it's not good for the heart rate or whatever. But I think fans just want to see flexibility, because there's no point in doing it against teams who are far superior against you.
Absolutely agree. I don't really like the idea where some managers have one philosophy and just stick to that against any opposition. I think you have to be adaptable and change and know what's going to be the benefit to you on that day.
Foden's given away a free kick here for an apparent challenge on Yohan Wissa. He caught the Congolese, or no he didn't. No he didn't, on the blind side of the ref who bought it.
It's not a good look that from Wissa, or from him.
I'm sure Foden's gone down easily once or twice in his time. And he's got his squad number tattooed on his neck, number 47. Sergio Reguilon is standing over this free kick. Are they going to do something a bit different here? Jan Elton option to the left to try and swing one across the penalty area. Reguilon a bit closer to the touch line and further out from the penalty box. No, he crosses instead. It's high. City clear. Comes out to Bob, who didn't know whether to go for the challenge or not against Roslev. Roslev won the battle of minds there. Flecken back forward. It's a nice pick out to Wissa on the right wing. Aya wants it down the line. Here is Wissa running against the Kanji, leaves it now for Aya, steadies himself and crosses. Free header on goal! What a save that is there from Ederson, flying away to his right hand side. He had glue on those gloves.
Yeah, very good hands there from Ederson. It's not often that you see the goalkeeper flying across and catching the ball like that, but really nice camera save. Especially it was a decent chance for Onyeka, but I just think a little bit too far out. He had to generate his own power, and to beat Ederson from there would have been a tough ask.
Stones forward. City starting to purr. They haven't hit top gear in this one. Most of their efforts have been from outside the box. So 15 shots so far. Here's Janelt on the left for Brentford. Ball over the top looking for Wissa. I think it's probably going to be offside again. Ederson plays it back into midfield to Ruben Dias. Somehow managed to escape with the ball despite two challenges coming in on him. Bernardo Silva slipping on the halfway line. He's got the ball back now though. Still Bernardo Silva. Looking left. He's got Bob on the left wing. He's got Foden central. Haaland central. Alvarez to the right. Foden into Bernardo Silva. Curling effort this time from Ruben Dias it was. Pushed away by Flecken.
Yeah, much better football there from Manchester City. 1 and 2 touching and around the edge of the box. He's not really the one you want it to fall to, Ruben Dias, but he caught it quite well. Flecken did well to just push it aside.
Brentford are being cute in winning free kicks as well, aren't they, to break the City play up?
Yeah, they're doing very well at that. But I think Pep Guardiola will be disappointed with his Manchester City players at giving them the chance to do that. He'll want them to counter press, of course, but smartly. Don't let them off the hook by giving away a cheap free kick.
Final minute of the 45. The first half of relatively little action overall. No major talking points. I think maybe the one chance that City had that they should have scored was the one from Bernardo Silva, and maybe from Bob as well. They're the only two clear-cut chances they've had, aren't they? Yeah,
I'll totally agree. And like you mentioned, none of them have fell to Erling Haaland, the one man who they'd probably won on the end of them. We've not mentioned Haaland in the past 10 minutes or so, to be honest. So he's got to try and get himself more involved in the game. We know he can have quiet spells and then just come up with a goal or two, but they really need him now.
Bernardo Silva into Akanji. Manchester City approaching the edge of the Brentford penalty area once more. Into the right-hand side to Walker. Stones coming in field. The play so condensed. 2 minutes of additional time. Can City go ahead before the break? Stones, edge of the area, drives in the shot. It was moving and double-fisted, double punched away, I beg your pardon, by Flecken. Akanji edge of the area. He's had a go once. He crosses this time. Mia Way, the former Manchester City youth player. Bernardo Silva on the left this time. Rodri. Bernardo Silva, edge of the D. Alvarez back to Stones. It's so hard for City because there are probably 10 players in about a 5 metre square area of that Brentford penalty area, aren't there?
Yeah,
it's hard for them
to play through. He's done brilliantly there, Whistle. But you've seen like Akanji, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, they've all had attempts now. They're not the players that Manchester City will be wanting to have the attempts. Even if they are going to be from distance, you want a Rodri, you want a Bernardo Silva.
John Stones has actually been booked here for a challenge on Wissa. We talked about City having those chances. Brentford likewise can be disappointed they're not ahead in this game because of that Onyeka chance.
Yeah, I have to say I'm impressed with Brentford. Yes, they are being defensive, but they're really compact, and then they're breaking away. Wissa especially, he's running away from people. Onyeka's done it once or twice. Tony's an outlet. So it's not just they're sitting in and carrying no threat of their own. That's when mentally for a team it can get draining if you're just sitting in there and you've got no outlet, but they've got 2 or 3.
Well, these are the kind of games that Brentford have thrived in since promotion to the Premier League, especially against the big boys. Offside here against Jonsson, and then a ball kicked away by me, I think it was, so he'll get a yellow card against his former side. City want him to pick up, really. You know why he's done it, but
yeah, very silly. But I don't like the reaction of the Manchester City players there. As soon as it happened, they were running towards the referee, and we're right at the end of the first half now. I just think it's needless.
Last attack of the first half. Alvarez to Walker on the right wing. Didn't know whether to take it infield or let it run to the touchline. Slides it forward, too much weight for Alvarez, who won't keep it in. Behind it goes, and that will probably take us through to the break. Indeed it does. Goalless at half time. A game as we expected, really. Manchester City dominant. Pressure always. Brentford, that threat on the counter. They have their chance to Onyeka. Oscar Bob and Bernardo Silva with City's best chances, but no goals so far. Music to the ears of Brentford and Arsenal and Liverpool above Manchester City in the Premier League table. We'll go back over the first half and talk about the rest of the Premier League action in a few minutes' time. Half-time, Man City 0, Brentford 0. You are listening to Premier League Live.
TalkSport Drive. Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. Fast and furious football talk for full-on fans. The working day goes faster with football. TalkSport Drive. High-performance afternoon radio with more goal talk to the gallon. Unrivaled, opinionated comment from the biggest names in sport.
Danger. Extra wide programming ahead.
TalkSport Drive. Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home.
TalkSport Drive.
Radio personality and Premier League commentator Tom Rennie here to tell you all about my podcast, Week in the Tackle, which I do every week of the soccer season with the star of Apple's MLS coverage and Sirius XMFC, Brian Dunny Dunseth.
Well, hello, Mr. Rennie. Tip of the cap, you're exactly right. Every week we'll recap the biggest stories of the Premier League, top European leagues, Major League Soccer, and international football.
International soccer, you mean?
Whatever, man. It's your world. Come on, buddy.
It's called Soccer. Do.
A Week in the Tackle, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Subscribe today so you do not miss a single episode.
You can also watch the show in full on YouTube. Just search Week in the Tackle.
Hello, this is Álvaro Romeo. This is the podcast Universo Premier League. Let's go.
Pienso en Declan Rice, pienso en el entrenador que tiene el Arsenal y el fútbol que despliega y me parecen que encajan perfecto.
No podemos decir del momento de Grealish, probablemente uno de los mejores defensores con balón.
El domingo en Wembley hablamos con Casemiro.
Quien me conoce se sabe que voy por un balón como si fuera un plato de comida.
Joelinton nos atendió al final del partido.
Sí, muy triste, pero tiene que levantar la cabeza.
This season, don't forget to listen to the podcast Universo Premier League.
Stories of our times, from the Times and the Sunday Times.
One agenda-setting story, told in depth by experts.
I'm Manveen Rana.
I'm David Aronovich. Go beyond the headlines with original quality journalism and exclusive interviews.
What happens in the next year may define this country for the next 40 years.
We take you to the heart of the stories that matter. With exclusive access and reporting, you'll hear from the best and most informed journalists from the UK's most trusted newspaper. It's published for the start of your day, and you can listen for free on the Times Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search The Stories of Our Times.
Previously on White and Jordan.
If you were a bad surgeon, you'd be called out for it. That's my little diatribe.
I wouldn't like you to be my surgeon.
I'd amputate your tongue. That's the first thing I'd do.
Yes, indeed.
100% engagement.
I didn't like that emoji message last night.